Видно, да?
Да, все видно, переключается.
Отлично. Начнем.
All right, let's start.
Данная работа проходила в соавторстве
So
с
the effort
Александром
I'm talking
Трантиным.
about was co-authored by
И
Alexander
сегодня я
Trantin.
постараюсь
Today I'm
дать
going
такие,
to give you
ну,
some
может быть, даже для кого-то инсайты по внедрению
insights. So
ТРИС
possibly
на
there will be some
предприятиях
insights from us
промышленности.
to
Ну,
implement
да и в целом,
trees
наверное, в
at
любом
industrial
предприятии.
enterprises or at any other
Это,
organization.
опять же, является частью большой
Again, this
работы
is a
по
part of
внедрению
a very
ТРИС
huge
в
effort to
компании
implement
«Русал».
trees in
Не является
Rusal,
частью
and this
большой
is part of
системы
the
анализа
activities, which is
компетенций,
part
является
of a big
частью
framework. The competency
большой
matrix, the
системы
competence matrix
массового
is a
внедрения
part of a
ТРИС.
big framework
И я
of
надеюсь,
this
что
massive trees
информация,
involvement,
с
trees
которой мы с вами
implementation.
сегодня
The information
поделимся,
we're
она
going to share
будет
today, I hope, will be
полезна
instrumental
и
in a
практически
way that
применима
you will be
для
able
других
to
каких-то направлений,
practically use these
отраслях
insights
и так
in
далее.
other industries and in other domains.
Ну, перво-наперво начну с
First and
актуальности данной
foremost, I would like
разработки,
to
чтобы
speak
можно
about the
было для
relevance of
наиболее
this
знакомых всем
development,
участникам
of this
сегодняшней
result, so
конференции
that
для
our
себя
participants could
данную разработку.
possibly use this development in
Выделено на
their work
сегодняшний
going
день
forward.
и известно 5 форм
We've
практического
seen
применения
5
ТРИС. Это
practical
не исключительная
trees application
классификация,
cases.
возможно,
This
есть
is
какие-то другие
a
формы, но
non-exhaustive list. Possibly there are some
для
other forms,
иллюстрации я
but just to
выделил
illustrate,
эти
we decided to use
5
these
форм
5 forms,
основных.
these 5 cases.
Отдельно останавливаться на каждой
I
из
won't be
5 форм
detailing
я
each
не
of
вижу
the
смысла.
cases because
Для
there
того,
is no
чтобы
point in that, in my
спозиционировать
opinion.
данную работу,
To
я обозначу
position
только одну
this
форму.
effort,
Это
I
ТРИС
will just use
инфраструктура
the example
предприятия.
of trees infrastructure at
И
the
как раз
facility, at the
в компании
enterprise.
«Русал»
In Rusal,
вот формируется,
we are
еще
forming
во времени она развивается, ТРИС
and
инфраструктура
developing
предприятия.
this enterprise
На каждом
trees
предприятии есть
infrastructure.
своя
At each
такая
enterprise,
инфраструктура,
they
которая
have their own
превращается в более
structure, which
мощную,
is part
большую
of a major
инфраструктуру
framework, of a major
корпораций,
structure of the
неотложных
corporation. So this is an embedded
И
list, an
у
embedded
каждой из вот этих
series of
предыдущих
structures.
форм внедрения есть там свои
In each
недостатки,
of the
есть
implementation
свои
forms, in
положительные
each of the
качества.
cases, they have their
Но опять
pros
же,
and
речь пойдет
cons.
только о
But
ТРИС
today we are going to
предприятиях.
focus on the trees
Особенности
enterprise
следующие.
infrastructure. So the features are the following, which we
Первая
have
особенность–
identified. The first
это,
one is
как
the
правило, предприятия, в которых мы
small-scale research
внедряем
units
ТРИС,
in
они
our
имеют
enterprises we are implementing
свои
trees in. They don't have their
специфические
own
их
R&D
либо вообще
units.
нет,
They
либо они
either don't
очень
have them
маленькие
or their
и
R&D
обслуживают
units
только
are very
текущие
small,
операционные какие-то
servicing
потребности
their current
предприятия.
operational
И
needs.
вести какую-то полномасштабную
And of course,
исследовательскую
having a
работу
full-fledged R&D
не могут
activity
в
is
силу
not possible
ограниченного количества
because
ресурсов.
they have limited resources.
Вторая особенность–
The
это
second feature is that
ограниченные инвестиционные
there are
возможности
limited
конкретных
opportunities
отдельных предприятий для
for
новаторства и
particular
инноваций. Это
enterprises
тоже
to invest and
накладывает
innovate, which
свои
is of course
отпечатки в
another
плане внедрения решений и
showstopper in
в
terms of
плане экономичности
implementing
этих решений.
solutions and
Ну и
in
третий–
terms of
это
economic
внедрение решений
efficiency
сразу
of
на
these
действующем
solutions. And the third
производстве.
feature is immediate implementation of
Вынуждены
solutions at the
подстраиваться
active
под
production site.
графики
We need to follow
периодических
the schedules of
регламентных работ,
periodic
и
maintenance
это
activities, and this
достаточно
is
сильно
something which is
увеличивает жизненный цикл ТРИС-проекта.
growing, which
И
is
к этому нужно
increasing the
подстраиваться.
trees
Если ты,
project
если ты
life
придумаешь
cycle. We need
какие-то
to
решения в
adapt to
ТРИС-проекте,
that.
ты
If you
всегда
create
оглядываешься на
such
то,
a
что ты должен
solution
успеть,
within trees, you need
чтобы у
to
тебя решение было
understand
как-то
that your time
верифицировано для
is
того, чтобы
limited to
внедрить
have your
в
solution
регламентованный
verified
промежуток.
to be able to implement it
Ну и,
in
соответственно, далее
this
уже, опять
regulated
же, могут
period of
возникать
time.
какие-то ключевые
Further,
проблемы,
there
связанные с
can be
этими
some key
особенностями.
issues, key
Первая
challenges
ключевая
that might
проблема–
emerge. The first one
это
is that
то, что так как у нас деятельность идет,
our
скажем так,
work
не
is
основная, да, проектная деятельность на предприятии,
based
то
on
есть это часть
projects. So
персонала,
this is not
занимающихся
our core
ее
activity.
массовой
Our core activity is
использованием,
operations and providing
то у
serious
сотрудников нет
production
времени
of
на
products.
решение
This
сложных
means that,
проблем,
of course, employees do
а
not
тем
have the
более
time
нет
to
времени на
address
то, чтобы
complex
учиться
tasks,
решать эти
complex
сложные
problems, and
проблемы.
they don't
То
have the
есть этого
time
времени очень
to
мало.
learn how to do that. This
Ну или
time
его
is
там
very
катастрофически
constrained and
мало.
limited, or it
Второй
is
пункт
very
связан с
little.
как раз
The second point is that
внедрением полученных решений. Это
implementing
длительная
solutions
проверка
can
и внедрение
take
решений из-за того,
many
что мы
steps,
все время
and
оглядываемся
it's
на
very hard to
регламентную
implement
работу. У нас
solutions
нет
because we
выделенных
have to always be limited by the regulated activities. We don't have some dedicated equipment pieces and sections to test our solutions. So this means that the solutions needs to be balanced in terms of risks, because all this can lead to undermining our production plans. So these are the key problems, the key challenges related to implementing trees as an infrastructure, as a framework in the company. So this development will only focus on the first key issue, so we will focus on solving the first key challenge. This key challenge in our section, we are speaking about trees and business. On one hand, this work is about implementing trees in enterprises. This is partly like that, but on the other hand, we've been using trees tools to implement trees in our business. So the key challenge I have formulated, it can be formulated using contradictions. So if we teach our employees on how to use trees, then he or she will be able to address complicated production problems, but the requirement to maintain operational efficiency won't be met. So this is when enterprises can face difficulties because a person was distracted from the operational process to be able to implement trees. A person needs to have sufficient knowledge and also to understand their facilities, their scope of work, and have knowledge in physics and math. So again, we need to work with talented people all the time, and all these people are uh, in shortage. So there is not enough people like that. So we really really need to distract some key core employees, and this might undermine the operations at times. This is a contradiction, so we can further speak about a physical contradiction that will be based on the time and on the time needed by the employer. If we formulate this physical contradiction, it will be like that. If we spend a lot of time to train an employee in trees, then we achieve the complicated the requirement that he or she can address complicated challenges. So this means that we have to invest much time or less time to train a person in trees. So this contradiction can be addressed through segmentation or partial or excess action. In practice, this works like this. So this works within the competence matrix. I won't present anything new or any insights in this particular slide. So this means that in trees projects, there are different dedicated roles. Those roles have always been there. So in any project, even in other projects, we have a project manager, we have a project team member. The only thing we added is the task setter role, which is a dedicated role, and a supervisor or a curator. And of course, curators can exist in other projects, not only in trees projects. And we also have the methodologist, which is a dedicated role of a trees project, which we have identified. Now we have this new capacity. So all of these roles have their own administrative functions in a project. But besides that, yes, besides that, if you can mute yourself, please. So besides that, we also have the following. So besides carving out these roles, we see that for each of the roles, it's not necessary to know the whole trees theory. It's not necessary to do that, and it's not necessary to train all this theory to others. So spending time on that is not needed. We only need to teach something which a person will use in their trees activities. Speaking of specific people at factories, starting from a project manager, usually a PM is a line manager. It's a line manager working in enterprise. It can be a shop manager or a section manager, a chief foreman, or another role. Project team members are specialists working in the field, having the expertise, having the knowledge about the section they're working in for some time of their careers. The task setter role And the curator, the supervisor role is the manager, medium-level manager of an enterprise. So each of these roles has its own competencies, has its own skills in the field of trees to be able to efficiently achieve and implement this role in a trees project. I'd like to note that, of course, we have this line of development, and this is the dynamization area, which is mainstreamed in this area. A few words on the roles. A task setter is a role which formulates requirements and deliverables for a project. He can formulate project goals as well and approve these goals in itself. So he also accepts these results. A curator, so a PM is a manager working in the line field, so its impact on the project stops formally and is limited with the margins of the workshops or factories in the project. So we sometimes have these requirements to go beyond these borders, and there are two ways which are possible. So this PM can use informal connections to do that. So this is a scheme which has its own advantages and disadvantages, but at the same time, it's also possible for a supervisor to be able to remove these gaps, to close these gaps, which emerge in the field of management if there are any questions related to some cross-functional areas in a project. So a methodologist can use trees instruments, knowing them specifically.
He knows the specifics of application of those projects. So he went through many projects and he fulfilled not only one project. So that's why he is into trees and he knows the drill. So the member of the project group are those people who can professionally use trees tools, analytic or decisive procedures. For example, when the project manager went through the inventive task, then he gave it to the member of the project group, and then they implement it. So the scheme is like that. But what kind of competences should be there at the members of the project groups? We shouldn't dream up something new. We shouldn't invent the wheel again. So we decided to earth our gradation, our role model on the current model cardinal. So if we roughly it on the system cardinal, so then the member of the project group is the specialist of the first level. Then the head project head is the special of the second group, and level, and Methodists are the specialists of the third and fourth level. Of course, the fourth level is the perfect one. So we have to notice that this is the goal of our project, of our picture. Of course, this is a perfect picture. However, we have some challenges and hardships on the way. But in the perspective, in the nearest 2 years or so, we will get closer to that very picture for us to have complete compliance. So then we start set of competences when we land everything on Cardinal. So then we get several partitions, tools, instruments, and we know that every role from the task setter to the project manager, they have different degrees of owning the skills of trees. So we got the scale from a cardinal, from the person when he saw something or used something to the real application of the topic of the tool from what he saw. So after we define the sets of competences, we can come directly to the programs of training for those roles. So we get role-based training programs for the rows of trees project. For example, we gave birth to such programs as tree sessions for CO, CO1 of the first level. So these are functional directors, COs of trees practice, is experience for the project group members. And also, we had the program of the project managers, but in the future, in the next year, we won't have it. We changed our policy a bit. So from these competency sets, we can formulate any programs according to the demand. So, and here we formulate and form competency metrics, which could be used as a tool for managing project teams. So here we get some kind of a cycle. For example, if we get any issue or task at the production, after that, we can have a look at the fact whether, we have some competencies and some people who own competencies which are able to fulfill the project on TRIS task. So we form the team out of those people who are at hand. If we don't have them, just because we didn't have time to train them, then we take decision to get some more people. So we start to exercise it and implement it, and then this team starts to fulfill this task. After we execute the project, we got the team people who will be able in the future, in that very team or in different team, to participate as competent workers. So here we can give you several examples of the managerial solutions which can be born through this matrix of competency. Let's have a look at the probability case one. So we have some kind of initial task, and we have to form the team for the future project out of the current personnel. So competency matrix, this is some kind of a table with the positions, with surnames, and after that, we look at which recommended roles they could pretend and they could apply. So we have a task setter, we have supervisor, also project managers, also methodologist. But his competency is not enough, so there is no surety that he will be able to rule this project properly. So here we can give birth to several managerial decisions. So the first one, to include the project team is in place, so we will include the project manager, but here the methodologist can have more burden. So we get some kind of a strategy of managing administration of this or that project. So that's why participation of methodologists will be higher. Then we would have completely competent project managers. So from the very beginning, we put more burden on the methodologists, and if we have 4 of those, so then methodologists for the 5th project will be overburdened. And so that's why we have to redistribute the weight of the portfolio out of these staff members which we have and their competencies. And the second managerial decision, management decision, so after the finalization of the project, we can reassess with methodologists assessment of the project manager conclusion. So his level will be increased up to 2 grade, 2nd grade, or he will be finalizing his study after that. And probability case number 2. So again, we have some kind of incoming test. We have to shape the team of the future project. And we have trendsetter, we have supervisor, we have project manager, methodologist. But unfortunately, in this case, we don't have the project manager. So after the analysis of this competency matrix, we can get such management decisions. Firstly, we can think about delaying of this task. It depends on the urgency of this task until we bring up the proper project manager. And then we start our work of the kind of education of the project manager and the members of the working group. And we send them to the special training courses and etc. You have 10 minutes to go. And then we can have a look on the side, kind of, we can look for other project managers. Maybe they could take this project from some adjacent department. So it could be like that. So those management decisions could be taken considering this matrix of decisions. And the third thing is the formation of the plans of the development line out of those people who are there in the department. So we can see those yellow spots, and those people will be requalified, retrained, and after that they will be having access to the project, but they will be supervised by the methodologist and some special mentors. And so we supervise them, and then we make some reassessment of theirs. Now, with some plans of the future, if we'd like to open other projects, so we can rebuild our plans for decreasing the number of the TRIS projects for the future. Or vice versa, we would initiate the program for retraining of people. So altogether, we can manage the project portfolio on the basis of the situation of the personnel and in terms of training people on trees. So what kind of conclusions could be made out of it? So if we distribute the roles and we, trees could be trained for the whole life, but we will teach in pieces the trees program in some specific spheres, specific tools. So then it will decrease demand in timeline drastically. So we will teach people in bits and pieces for trees training programs. So then this competency metrics could be used as the element of management of competences of the employees while shaping trees infrastructure at the enterprise. And then there is another component of project manager portfolio. So this is the situation of the resources. So here you go, colleagues. I'm ready to answer your questions. Thank you, Anton. As we mentioned before, so according to our program, one question at least from the chat box, and then other questions will be sounded. Thank you for your
Вопрос заключается в
useful
следующем. Вы
report.
упомянули
So
в
the
вступительной
question is
части,
like
что у
that. You
сотрудников нет
mentioned
возможности иметь
that
дело со сложными
employees
задачами и их решать.
don't
Поясните,
have
пожалуйста,
the
поподробнее, что вы
ability
имеете в
to
виду под
work with
сложной задачей,
complicated
какие у нее
questions
характеристики.
and resolve them. What kind of complicated
Спасибо
or
за
difficult
вопрос.
questions or
Ну,
tests do you
это у
mean?
нас,
And what kind of
так сказать, уже
competency
то, что
it
стало
has?
классикой, да, в наших программах обучения.
So you see, this is pretty
Административное противоречие, например, у нас
conventional
есть.
in our training
Вот
program.
административное
So we have some
противоречие,
kind of
когда хочется
administrative
что-то улучшить,
contradiction
есть какая-то проблема, но никто
when we
мировой не
want
знает,
to
как ее решить.
improve something,
Вот
but
это
nobody
является
knows
сложной
at the
задачей
plant how to resolve it.
в
So
данном
this
примере.
is complicated
И
and
далее
challenged
возникает,
question,
ну, то есть,
task.
э,
And after that,
далее возникает потребность, да, есть острая потребность ее
we
решить, никто
get
не знает
some
как.
acute demand how to
Могут пойти
resolve
по пути
this
создания
task.
рабочих групп.
And people could
Как правило,
go
такие
by
проблемы,
the road
они
of creating new working
долго
groups,
достаточно живут
but
на заводе.
those directions
Многие
are pretty
сотрудники уже, в
long-lasting, the
принципе,
plans,
привыкли, что
and
вот привыкли,
many
как вот у человека,
employees,
например,
they
есть хроническое
got
заболевание, он
used
привык,
to
хроническое
this
заболевание – это часть его
thing.
жизни.
For example,
И
that
он с ним
chronic
просто живет,
disease is the part
приспосабливается,
of
там,
their
не
life.
ест
And so
острое,
then he adapted,
и
he
все.
doesn't eat
Вот
some
у человека
spicy
есть
food
язва, он не
and
ест
on and on.
острое.
For
В
example,
принципе,
if the
так
person
можно
has ulcers,
жить
so he
достаточно
doesn't
долго.
eat
А можно попытаться вылечить
spicy food. So he
язву
can
и
survive with it for a long time, or he
дальше
can
как бы
try
жить.
and
Есть
treat
острая,
and cure
как сейчас
ulcers,
коллеги
and
говорили.
then he
То есть
could
сложность
eat
проблемы –
spicy
это,
food as
пользуясь
others.
терминологией ТРИС,
So
это
using
административное противоречие.
terminology of trees, so this is administrative contradiction.
Спасибо. Коллеги, есть ли
Colleagues,
желающие задать вопрос
so
голосом?
if you have any desire to sound your question, please,
Если таковых
you're
нет,
welcome.
я тогда еще один вопрос из чата зачитаю.
So then I will read out
Вопрос.
another
На
questions
что
on the
имеет
chat
влияние
box.
матрица компетенций? На проектную деятельность, на
What
обучение,
is the
на развитие
influence
тестов
of the
теории, на
metrics
методику
of
преподавания?
competencies, theory of training
Спасибо за
or
вопрос.
others?
Матрица компетенции
Competency
влияет на
metrics could influence
портфель проектов
project portfolio
через,
through
ну, через ее состояние, скажем так. Если у
its
меня для того,
condition,
чтобы
I would say
выполнить
so.
проект в этой
So for
матрице
me to
компетенций
perform the
нет людей,
project
то,
through the
соответственно, я этот
competency
проект
metrics
либо не
and I
возьму, как
don't have
портфельный
enough
управляющий, я
people,
этот проект либо не
so
возьму в
I
проработку
could
на сегодняшний
get
день,
rid, I could avoid
либо
this project
я возьму
as the
себе
project manager,
время на
or
то, чтобы
I
подготовить
can
кадр.
take
То есть здесь
some
сразу
time
появляется
to
влияние на то, что мы,
prepare
помимо
some
того, что
personnel.
мы влияем на портфель, мы еще влияем
So in
на
this
то, что
case, we are not just
развитие
influencing
каких-то кадров.
portfolio, but
Мы можем
also
с
we
помощью этой матрицы
initiate
компетенций
development of some staff.
выхватывать людей,
So
которые там
with this
немного не
competency
дотягивают до
metrics, we
каких-то
can
ролей,
get
и
some new
в
people
их
who are not really
индивидуальные
up
планы
to
развития
some new roles,
записывать,
and
в том
then we
числе
can embed in their
изучение
plans
ТРИС,
of
только по
development
определенным программам,
trees
да, с
program on
учетом
some
тех
definite
компетенций, которые
programs
нужно
with
будут
the consideration of those
в TRIS проекте.
competencies which are needed in trees
На
project.
ТРИС как, ну, то есть
So
на
for
развитие
development
методики ТРИС
of
матрица
methodology of
компетенций не
trees,
влияет.
competency metrics doesn't influence.
Спасибо, Антон.
Мгм.
Тогда, если больше нет вопросов, я тоже небольшую
So,
ремарку
Anton, thank you very much. I would like to
вставлю
make
сюда.
some remark as
Смотрите,
co-author. So,
данный
you
инструмент
see, this very
родился
tool
и применяется не как
was
что-то спущенное
born
сверху,
and applied
запрос
not just
для
like
создания некого
which
подобного
was
вспомогательного
given us
инструмента
from the top, but
пришел к нам
it's some
с
kind of
самих
auxiliary
предприятий.
tool
То есть
which
предприятия
came to us
испытывали
from the
определенные
very
сложности именно с
enterprises.
формированием команды,
So they had
не
some
было
challenges
понимания,
with the
как правильно
formation of
формировать
the
команды,
team.
потому
They
что
didn't get
проекты выполнять
concept
надо,
how to shape the team properly.
как
However, they
делать
had
какие-то
to
вспомогательные вещи было
execute
не
the project,
очевидно.
but
Поэтому
they didn't have
действительно
some
рабочий
auxiliary
инструмент, он у нас
tools. So
динамично
this is
развивается уже
our pretty
второй год,
working
да, Антон, в
instrument,
эксплуатации
and
мы
it's
работаем с
been
матрицей.
dynamically
Да, да,
developing at ours for the second
Да, и
year,
показывает
right?
достаточно хорошие результаты. По крайней
And it
мере,
shows
на
pretty good
предприятиях люди
results. At
стали
least
лучше
at the
разбираться
enterprises,
в
people
проектном
are
менеджменте
more
с
into
особенностями,
project
которые имеет
manager.
TRIS
They
проект.
know it better as per trees
Еще раз
project.
спасибо, Антон.
Thank you.
Да,